when I stay here, I was very often in the galleries, and the only art object that obliged me to come back several times was this series of folk paintings. And I was fascinated by the double entendre of these paintings that I couldn't have imagined from the photographs. But before them, I discovered that this painter, Fragonard, present comme a sort of résumé of the douceur de vivre of the old regime, the preference of charm to real beauty, and so and so. In fact, there was this extraordinary beauty in the parks. There was this atmosphere of leisure and of playfulness among the little Lilliputian figures. But in the general, I have the feeling that behind this joie de vivre, there was a profound anguish. And it was translated by the skies, who seemed to promise a storm, and the disproportion of the size of the figures, and the enormous development of nature. It was a garden, but with 1 century of abandon, I should say. And this disproportion has something disturbing. You have never seen a cypress so big. They are frightening. And in all drawings of Fragonard, you see that he doesn't represent nature, he reimagines nature. And this nature is a nature that has been times ago a park and now has become almost a forest. There is a remark in the journal of his friend of Mécène, Monsieur de Grandcourt. He said, "This painter has deceived me. He is full of fear." He's full of fear. And at that time, it was at the end of the 70s, the French Revolution is far away. And it's very interesting to see that for him, like in the memoirs of Madame Lebrun, there is a sort of presentiment of big drama, and it was no more possible to do painting without a certain intimation of anguish. And this is a new phase of the rocaille, because the rocaille was not an art of anguish, of terror. So it is the confrontation of an art of happiness, an art of harmony, with a terrible drama that is unable to describe directly, but with sous-entendu in the apparent happiness of the representation. There is the storm, there is the trees that are sometimes the appearance of a skeleton hand, that's frightening in a way, and the gestures that are given by the painter to these little figures, so little, it's incredible, because in traditional fête galante, the size of the figures are a little greater, they have in harmony with the trees. But here they are in total disharmony with the trees, and their gestures are disquieting. You have the young man who is going at toute allure in the painting. It can be flying from something terrible he has seen, and he wants to prevent his friends, or the girl who is swinging, or the girls who is doing this gesture. You have the impression that they are like flies that a wind can transport and destroy. And so every sign of the painting has a double entendre. The traditional fête galante and something new, some inner menace that is of the range of tragedy. The playfulness is a mask that is maintained because they have not realized how much they have threatened. Is my interpretation. For me, I can't anymore see this painting without this double meaning, but is totally absent in the painting of Boucher and Watteau, in spite that they invented the Rocaille style. Fragonard has painted very often old age. Old age. He was fascinated by old age. He was fascinated, in my view, as Bergeret de Grandcourt has perfectly felt. He was afraid. It was a man who was feeling that the art that he loves was on the point of disappear, but everything he has learned from Boucher was detested by his contemporaries, and that he was a survivor of a great period, or a joyous period, that on the point of disappearing. So there is an element of ominous in these paintings, in my view. He was not alone, but many texts of the contemporaries are full of this anguish of something unknown was in store.